We'll do it together. We're going to do this together because we are excited about the day and we are going to add some value, share some solutions, and provide some insights on how you can improve, increase, and maneuver through this thing they call marketing. And I just want to thank you so much for being here on the Pirate Broadcast. Today we have a special guest that Janine is going to be talking about some of her adventures in marketing. And we might, maybe we'll have a guest host, a little furry friend that might join us at some point in time. You never know what's going to happen on the Pirate Broadcast. But Janine, I thank you so much. All the gratitude in the world for you being here and taking your time out and sharing this information with the pirates in the Pirate Broadcast.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, John Esperian sent us a message and he said, hey, you two should probably connect. And I think it'd be great. I love her videos. And I went and checked your videos out and I said, oh, that's awesome. So I think I sent you an invitation to be a pirate, right?
Yeah, I think we went straight in there.
We went straight in there. It's like, I like her. She's awesome. And I think we need to connect. So interesting people doing interesting things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I love your catchphrases as well. I think they resonate with me.
Oh, thank you so much. And also, so how have you been using LinkedIn and marketing in general? What journey brought you to this location where you're now a pirate?
How far back to go? I mean, the short answer is John Esperian introduced us. The long answer is that I've got a corporate background in marketing, and then I left marketing, the corporate world, when I had kids, and I just thought I don't want to do the commute and the working for other people. So I investigated some alternatives, and then I thought, you know what, I do like marketing, and I think I can help people, but I just don't want to do it in the gigantic corporation setting. So I started helping small businesses with their marketing. So and then I suppose I started on LinkedIn a couple of years ago properly, because I had the LinkedIn profile, the 10-year-old CV up there for a few years without looking on LinkedIn unless I needed a job.
Yeah. Well, also I think to catalog what we mean by small business, it's not a freelancer going after a Facebook ad. It's a small business that is making maybe anywhere from $1 to $5 million a year, maybe.
I go for a bit smaller than that at the moment. Yeah, I go for, often my ideal clients are solo business owners, or solo entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call them. They've usually been going a year or two. So what I like to do is, because I've got a sort of a traditional marketing background, a sort of a marketing training background, I like to get into the results. I like to see what's happened before, what the business owners enjoyed before, where they've got good results before, what they're currently doing, and really get into the strategy. And often I can show them ways to do what they're doing, but simpler, or just a slight shift will bring them more profit or more enjoyment for their business.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when we talk about marketing, there's an emerging sense that marketing is either traditional or digital. So do you have any preference, or you have any thoughts about the difference between the two and how they interact? And, broadcast media like outdoor and print and television is one piece of the puzzle. And historically, not a lot of small business owners venture down that immediately. And so there's a huge opportunity, and granted, it's working for a lot of people on the digital side. So which one do you gravitate to naturally, I guess? What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite that you like to go to for results?
You struck on a favorite topic of mine. Because I feel like marketing communications it's all the same in a way. The foundations are all the same. So when I say I've got a traditional marketing background, I was working in a big corporation, and I started marketing a long time before social media really took off.
Yeah.
But it's all the same. So I've seen people say, "Oh, traditional marketing is dead." Um, the old channels don't work anymore. But it's like, but
Yeah.
advertising is still advertising, whether it's online or whether it's offline or whether it's on a bus or whether it's on a Facebook ad or whether it's a pay-per-click. It's all the same. You've got to have your strategy straight. You've got to know who you're selling to, what and why, and what motivates them.
Mm-hmm.
And it all gets boiled down into just such a small amount of information. So it's all the same. I think social media is really interesting because perhaps a more useful distinction is broadcast versus two-way.
The conversation versus the radio.
Yeah. And you see the traditional broadcast media trying to be two-way. Like, even radio stations, they're trying to get the listeners to call in and to interact and to feedback. And social media has really helped that kind of thing, because you get people tweeting and interacting with the broadcasters and things like that. So I think the better, more engaging format is definitely two-way. And we've always been trying to have an element of two-way conversation with the ultimate audience or the potential customer. So I think social media has really opened the floodgates on there.
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about before we fired up the pirate broadcast, is the idea that it's all about a journey that you have to take an individual to, because they're either going to be motivated by pain or by pleasure, and mostly by pain. They want to move away from something that is not working for them. So by creating a journey, whether it's traditional, as we, and whatever happens to be in place at the time, it could be a combination of efforts, right? Yeah, it could be a banner ad in a mall, or a drive-up window that motivates somebody to, quench their thirst, anything, that happens to be there that actually moves them down the journey.
Yeah.
So as a marketer, like you're saying, it's not as much about what tool I use. It's about what is the result I need to get from this process. So,
exactly, yes.
Am I getting it?
Yeah. You've already got it. Yeah, exactly. I don't think enough people stop and think about that. And the reason is you're too busy doing it. If you're a small business owner and you're running your own business and you're doing all the things and you've got to, you're so busy.
Yeah. You're wearing so many hats. I mean, and here's the thing is, just like the pirate broadcast, I've developed this platform so I could share it with other business owners, because right now I've built this infrastructure that allows me to show up, fire up the show, and everything else is taken care of. So all of the digital channels, I haven't bought any billboards yet for the pirate broadcast. It's like, I'll get there, right? And so, but the point is as a marketer, if you can remove and extract some of their time to get their goals in place, and then you can go off and do some of the work and the effort and develop a strategy for these things to be put in place, then everybody wins, because the business owner doesn't have to be stressed about how they're going to get it done, because they've got Janine on working on their behalf, right?
Yeah. It's all about getting the
stream. But you have to pull out what they're kind of like what they're doing with the business, what their why is, and what really triggers them to stay engaged. Because once that engagement takes place and they're having a conversation with a client or a potential customer, or whatever business they're in, that it's an easy process, because the marketing speaks to their voice.
Yeah.
Am I off base, or
No, that's it. So another way of looking at it is some of my clients at the moment, what they want to achieve by the end of this year is to outsource some of their marketing communication tasks. But before you can do that, you need to know what you want to outsource. You want to know how you want it done. You want to know what the outsourcer needs to achieve for you. You want to be able to keep them accountable. So all these things, it kind of crystallizes what you really should be doing with yourself.
Mm.
When you think about an outsourcer, it's easier to think about hiring. You've got to brief the outsourcer. What are you going to tell them to do? How are you going to tell them to do it? Because you're going to have to be quite clear. The brief has to be really clear. You have to have absolute clarity and all those things. But we kind of don't stop to think about briefing ourselves.
Well, true. And I think it's really important to understand that if you're hiring a marketer, you're not hiring a freelancer.
Mm.
Because like you said in your video, and if you're, by the way, time out. There's a lot of people here that need to know you. And if you're not connected to Janine, go connect. Say Russ sent you, okay? Just saying. And so I just really appreciate the fact that there's a difference, and you said it in your video, and where I picked up on it, I thought was brilliant, was if a business owner doesn't want to hand off the task of marketing, they're still going to be burdened with all of the decisions that need to be made. And they're not going to have anybody to call them out when their decisions are maybe not in their best interest. Mm. And I think that's a big difference in something that business owners as a whole and individuals, when we're doing our stuff. I'm the worst marketer for myself in the world, it seems. It's like, okay, I get inside my head, and all of a sudden, things are, it's like, okay, the plumber's sink always leaks, right?
Yeah.
And so the distinction is if a business owner can actually have you help them with their process, take ownership of it, and explain and, push back on why things are going a certain way based on your experience and your understanding of everything else. That's your skill set. That's the brilliance of what you bring to the table. So that's where a business owner may or may not fit in your environment, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was having a conversation with Emily Hodge. She's a business coach, and we were having a conversation about what is the difference between a business coach and a marketing coach. Because I do sometimes call myself a business coach / consultant. It's sort of a weird mix. Mm-hmm. And there is a fine line between what I do, because I don't go too much into the detail of, okay, so you've got some Facebook ads and they're not performing, how can we improve them? It's more about, okay, we're working together for 6 months. What are your objectives? Let's get them down, because I'm going to hold you to them. I'm going to use them as a yardstick and say, don't you remember, you were doing this, and now you've gone off on a tangent and said you want to do this. And I think you're so right. We all need that. I need that. It's doing it for yourself. I must dig out this report. I'm sure I heard of this report that said that only 5% of humans can actually hold themselves accountable effectively and coach themselves and stay on track without outside help. I've got to dig out that report, because I want to kind of.
And that's only if they don't visit the app store and download another app.
If only an app could do that, that'd be amazing.
There's an app for that, right?
Yeah, I'm going to download it.
I downloaded multiple apps. So it's brilliant. And so, okay, you're here, you're helping, you got a 6-month engagement, which I love. I love the 6-month engagement, is because I think it takes at least that long in order to really get all of the pieces of the puzzle working together, what the business is doing, what their goals are, what their objectives are, and how they need to process this information to get the messaging in place, to get everything working as designed. And I think it's really, it's critical to have enough time to do that, where you're not, it's like, oh, I bought a phone, why isn't it ringing, right? It's like crazy. Some people just don't have expectation management, is what they call it, right? Like, let's have 6 months and let's work together on this. So Do you have a like a qualification phase that you go through in order to accomplish that goal of understanding who is your best client and who do you want to avoid?
So, I mean,
Any tips on that?
it ties in a little bit with the video I did the other day. So I do have a sort of a checklist in my mind that if they're not hitting those points, I think I'm probably not the right person for you. And the wonderful thing about LinkedIn is I've got a little black book of people who, if I can't help them, somebody else might be able to help them. So I love doing that. I love saying, do you know what? I'm not quite right for you at the moment, but this person might be able to help. Or what I think the issue with you think you're struggling with this, but I think you're actually, what you need help with is this, and therefore this person can help you better than I can. So I love doing that. But that's another thing about, a wonderful thing about social media and content marketing, is that you can show your personality and people get to know you over months, if not years. And so the people who actually pick up the phone to talk to you in the end are more likely to be good clients, and you're going to work well together.
Yeah. I've actually had people reach out and say, I don't know why, I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I want to work with you at some point in time. It's like, okay. And a lot of people don't have any idea what I do. And that's kind of a little bit by design, not, because I do a lot of different things and I like to work with people I like to work with. So and I like working on interesting projects. So I almost pick some of the projects I work on, and I have long history with relationships, doing virtual marketing management for companies, and that's the business I've been in longer than anything is just, making sure that all of the pieces of the puzzle are, kind of in place and working together. And so it's really, and I think that's a lot of what you help them with, getting all of those pieces of the puzzle in place so they can continue to work. And so at the end of 6 months, if they say, hey, please don't leave us, is that an opportunity that you continue to work with them, or how does that work?
I tend to have the first 6 months is really getting clear on the objective, getting those objectives underway, planning. I love a bit of planning. I believe that sort of marketing is project management. It's sort of, what are your objectives? Let's do a plan, put together a plan to achieve those objectives. Trial and error, let's track what's working, what's not, tweak. And that is a long process.
Yeah.
But at the end, they won't need me to be in their business so much. I would offer something a bit, much lighter touch, so that we catch up once a month, and maybe they've got access to me. It depends how much they want, how much support they want going forwards. But it's nice to keep in touch, because we've put in all that legwork, and we've got to know each other, and I've got to know how they want to mold their business, and it's a shame just to cut off ties.
Yeah, and it's challenging because you've invested that amount of time into the business, and it's really nice to be able to continue that process. And it's always nice to, maintain a client versus having to go get another one as well. So I just want to take a moment out, and Frank, thank you so much for being here. Gopal, awesome to be here. Jeff Young, greetings. I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you're well. Gabriel, thank you so much. Richard Pickett's in the room. Arcot. Oh man. Wendy, thank you so much for being here. All of the individuals are here. Arcot, thank you so much. He has a question, just like to kind of get confused when I tell the director, the VP, or the company they find any. Let me see. They find my profile hard to buy because it's not weird, and many things I wise in the multidisciplinary field, rather good to apply knowledge and make wisdom productive for any organization. Yeah, it's almost like you're taking multiple pieces of the puzzle, and you have to, like you said, you have to manage that project and bring it together for that. You kind of have to get in the head of the business owner and say, okay, what's your why? What are you doing? Who are you serving? Why are you helping? How do you help them? Everything, all of these little bits of information are always it's like a puzzle. You're bringing it together. It's kind of fun. It's like, okay. And then you have, like we were talking, John Asperian, for some words, and you get, maybe some video people, doing some things, and you maybe have some Facebook ad, copy, and graphics, and there's all of these pieces of the puzzle that you can use to kind of juggle this together. There might be billboard ads, or there might be some, radio spots, or whatever you have. And for myself, one of the things that I see coming up is just Spotify just bought another company for podcasting. Podcasting is growing. There are over 800,000 podcasts out there right now in the world, and it's continuing to grow. And I think there's a lot of connection that's taking place in the next decade. A lot of people are working on the engagement part of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. Have you seen a trend in your business in how businesses are trying and attempting to get more conversation going and build a deeper relationship with their community? Is that something that you've seen in your business?
Oh yeah. I'm quite aware that that's what I'm trying to do as a business owner, and that's what my clients are doing. And you can see the big businesses trying to do that as well. And in a way, mm-hmm. they're at a slight disadvantage. So I think we think of ourselves as, oh gosh, we've got such a small business and we haven't got the resources and we haven't got the budget that big businesses have. But at least we've got our personalities and we can put our face on our profiles and we can have actual conversations like a human, because we are human. Whereas big businesses, they've got this gigantic logo, and who do they pick? There's only a handful of examples where a big business has managed to have, like Richard Branson or Elon Musk, like that, who you would actually recognize a personality, a human in a business. So I think they've got a little bit more of a tricky job on social media to have that two-way engaging conversation. They can do it, and there's some good examples, but it's trickier. Yeah.
Well, and like the thing I see about like influencers, the online influencers, imagine, if you will, okay, I'm an influencer. I always have to be on. I always have to be producing content. It's not like I can take a vacation. Well, I can take a vacation. And I know for a fact when I reduce my activity on LinkedIn, the numbers immediately reflect that. And, much like on any social media, and if I'm building a business to scale and sell, and I'm the only one that's the difference between stop and go, it makes it difficult for an exit strategy. So, the bigger businesses with the brand, and you have brand equity and everything that goes along with that, and then you have individuals managing those pieces of the puzzle. It's a different equation than someone like ourselves, where we're, a small business owner and we're helping other business owners in the same category, where we have to find a way to develop a product or a service that it can actually be transferred for ownership if we want to exit at some point in time. So
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's some of the things that I think about in terms of how business owners can be the face of the business, but not the business. So that's one of the pieces of the puzzle we really need to, as a marketer and somebody in the media world, we need to consider is like, okay, it's a balance, because, Richard Branson has lots of different businesses and it's all under the Virgin brand. Well, some of that may be licensing, it's like, okay, I just license my name and the business is independent of the actual ownership. Or, there's a lot of different models, where you can create a product or a service or things like that you can help business owners with, that may not necessarily be tied to your influencing brand, but you could use that to build your product and your infrastructure and in your business. So all of these things are possible right now, because we're living in such an amazing time that it's incredible to watch it work. So what are your plans in the next year? What are you looking to accomplish in the next year for your business? And I know you got these engagements ongoing and everything else. And You see any trends that you're curious about or interested in, or you going to start up your TikTok channel? What's going on?
I did go on TikTok, and I saw enough to know that I'm not going to start up a TikTok channel anytime soon. No, I'm going to personally pursue a strategy of focus. I think it's interesting, isn't it, to think about. Sorry, this isn't answering your question, but it's almost like a decision about whether do you want to be famous. Like you're a business owner and you want a successful business, but do you like the idea of being an influencer and being famous and being always on and everything that comes with, or do you want to be slightly lower visibility, and therefore not having to have that pressure of being on all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more like that, I think.
Yeah,
I'm going to pursue certain visibility opportunities.
mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to go all guns blazing and want to be everywhere. And, I don't want to be famous as such.
Yeah. However, I know that you're a speaker, though. You go out and you do, some coaching and speaking and things like that. You probably have taught classes, which requires a certain vulnerability to be out in the public eye.
Mm.
And it's so it's like, okay, how visible do I want to be versus how strategic do I want to place myself in the behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain. It's like, okay, which role do I want to pursue, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's a really personal decision, isn't it? For me,
Yeah.
I like showing, the warts and all side.
Yeah.
I like showing. I'd like to do it more, show my when I've messed up.
Yeah.
Because often that's when we learn the most. So I might dip into 2019 and go, I did that. It was rubbish. I learned this. Because I think people need to know we all say, oh, failure is good. And that's when we learn it. But it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you want somebody else to go first. You want somebody else to say, yeah, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
This is the learning I got from it. Because when I've made mistakes, that's when I've got the most learning. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many things I did wrong last year. But I wouldn't be here if I hadn't made those mistakes.
And that's the beauty of it is that, if you pursue going through that last mistake and all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and you go, bingo, I got it. I understand. I appreciate what's going on. And that's when it really takes place and it allows you to kind of venture to the next level because you've everything we know is from our history, right? So when we have a new experience and we have to pursue that to the next level and push ourselves and, go outside the comfort zone, that's when new experience takes place and we can actually imagine a different outcome. Especially in marketing, it's like, okay, video is a scary thing for a lot of people. And it's like, I can't do this. I can't possibly get on camera. And it's such an incredibly powerful tool that people need to understand that if they're just willing to put themselves out just a little bit, it doesn't require a lot. I mean, hopefully you were comfortable on the pirate broadcast and it didn't cause any major malfunction in your life. So it's like, but the reality is this gives you some exposure and you have the same opportunity in your business to create exposure for other people. And it's an amazing process that 10 years ago, this wasn't even possible. It's like you needed a producer, you needed the FCC approval, you needed a broadcaster, you needed engineers and all these kinds of things in place in order to produce a show on a regular basis. And now anyone with the ability and the opportunity and the willingness can go out there and broadcast themselves. And I think it's an amazing opportunity that as a marketer, we haven't had up until recently. So
I know it's just limitless opportunities, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
And it is. Videos are an interesting one because I'm very comfortable on video now. I'm more comfortable on video than I am speaking, like 1,000%.
What was the turning point for you?
don't really know. I think I started on Facebook. I did some Facebook lives, which are really uncomfortable.
Mhm.
That felt very, very vulnerable. And then I went and did videos on LinkedIn. It felt like, you know, when you stretch your comfort zone and then you step back and it's like, oh, this is fine. So I
Yeah.
wasn't too bad on LinkedIn video because I'd done Facebook Live and I felt really exposed. And like one of my first Facebook lives, and I had no viewers, and then I had somebody viewing, and I was like, "Oh, hello, somebody's watching. Who's that?" And it was my dad.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like,
That's awesome.
"Hi, when are we going to see you on Thursday?" I was like, "Oh my god." My dad was my only viewer, and he started commenting. I had to just like stop the broadcast.
Everyone starts at 0. I don't care who you are. Everyone starts at 0.
Yeah, but you know, the thing was, it's practice, isn't it? The more you do
Yeah.
it, the less you
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Unless you think, oh, somebody's going to look at my hair and say that, oh, they haven't brushed their hair, or they're going to, you know, that person's got
Yeah.
no, it's just like,
Well, I love this. I love having conversations like this. And I love the fact that people can join in and ask questions and make comments and you know, LinkedIn isn't as easy access to make comments and get responses from. And that's why I do broadcast on Facebook and YouTube and, you know, Periscope. And then before the end of the day is over, we'll have you on a post and a podcast and you'll be broadcast everywhere like that. So, you know, fame and fortune will follow. It's just,
blasted everywhere.
you'll be everywhere. You'll be everywhere. And I just think, and it gets me excited to be able to highlight, you know, talented people like yourself. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been so
Yeah.
good to talk to you properly.
So as we wrap up this thing, what's one thing that you would love to share with the world today to make it matter?
Oh my gosh. One thing all crystallized down into
Yeah,
a gold nugget.
the golden nugget.
If I could get people to do one little thing to help themselves, it's to just have a clear piece of paper, half an hour cup of coffee, and just think of the 3 things that you want to achieve this year, and just try and keep really, really simple and focused, and then
Mm,
have those 3 things written down and remind yourself of them. And don't let it be too low level. Like think about the reason behind your business. What's your real motivation? What do you really want out of your business? So it's not, you know, followers for followers' sake. Probably, if it is, that's fine.
yeah.
No judgment on that.
No,
Um,
not hating on that.
no, that's fine. But be clear. Like, some people want to be that lights them up, being famous and getting their word out and getting followers. That's fine. But be clear about what's behind your business, and just keep it simple, and don't
Yeah,
open yourself.
brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much. Janine, as always, it's a pleasure to connect with new people and fresh faces and just having smart conversations like this and helping other business owners around the world on the LinkedIn community. I'm sure that we'll be talking again. I look forward to the next opportunity we can have a conversation and continue to make your wonderful videos, bring your personality to the table and share that smile. So just keep on going. And as always, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye.